Hello, it's time for another edition of DBE TV News. You can watch this bulletin every week on the Department of Basic Education's YouTube channel and on OpenView, channel 122. Welcome, I am Tsehohajo Moagi. In our top stories this week, Minister Angie Motshekga and Deputy Minister Dr. Regina Mhaule deliver the department's budget vote speech. Minister Motshekga releases the Progress in International Reading Literacy Study 2021 results. The Department of Basic Education provides training to teachers and subject advisors on the 3 streams model. Minister Angie Motshekga has indicated that the Department of Basic Education has been allocated 31.8 billion rand for the 2023-24 financial year, an increase of 7%. She made the announcement when she delivered the department's budget on Thursday, the 18th of May in Parliament. The minister was joined by Deputy Minister Dr. Regina Mhaule and Director General Mathanzima Moeli.
We've been allocated 538.8 million for administration. We've been allocated 3.5 billion for curriculum, policy and support. We've been allocated 1.5 billion for teacher education. Planning, information and assessment has been given 16.6 billion. The education of educational enrichment services has been allocated 9.5 billion. And secondly, Chair, we also have been allocated conditional grants, which are grants which go to different agencies and provinces, which has increased with 9.5 billion. For maths and science, we've been given 433 million. For infrastructure delivery, we've been given 13.9 billion. For accelerated school infrastructure, we've been given 2.1 billion. For HIV and AIDS, we've been allocated 241.7 billion. For the National School Nutrition Program, we've been allocated 9.2 billion. For learners with severe to profound intellectual disability, we've been allocated 260 million. Thirdly, there are also earmarked funds that are given to the sector. Of the earmarked funds, which have increased with 6.3 billion, Funza Lushaka gets 1.3 billion, Umalusi gets 162.9 million, the National Senior Certificate Learner Retention gets 58.1 million, the National Education Collaboration Trust is allocated 121 million, workbooks which include Braille workbooks for visually impaired learners has been given 1.1 billion, and South African Council of Educators has been given 15.6 million. The Presidential Employment Stimulus Package has been given 6.9 billion, and for ICT technologies, we've been allocated 14.4 million. For early childhood education, in addition to the allocated funds, which still reside with social development, we've been allocated 200 million.
Minister Motshekga went on to give progress of the work done since the early childhood development function was shifted from Department of Social Development to the DBE.
We have been hard at work in the process of crafting and implementing an innovative strategies to strengthen the foundations of learning. The department has conducted a number of studies, the national census on early learning programs in 42,000 ECD centers known in our country. And the census highlighted the vast access challenges in South Africa, and we're in the process of developing a new publicly planned, coordinated and funded mixed ECD provision model, which is based on our social inclusive principles of access, equity, redress, inclusivity, efficiency, and quality. And to regularize the aligned function, we are working with the Department of Social Development to amend the Child Act, but we've also worked with the Presidency Red Tape Reduction Team to identify areas of streamlining registration processes and enabling collaboration with local government. The second study that we conducted, Chair, is that what we call Thrive by 5 index baseline. To assess the quality of ECD programs in a nationally representative sample, the study revealed that only 45% of our children in the country are currently attending ECD programs, Those that are attending, only 45% of them are on track. 45% reveal that these children who are attending these programs will not thrive by the time they reach the age of 5, and 6% of them are chronically stunted and also have major malnutrition. And the third study we also conducted, Chair, in collaboration with the National Treasury and the World Bank, is the Public Expenditure and Institutional Review, which determines the funding on ECD programs by the different spheres of government and the different departments on the prioritized ECD outcomes. Clearly, the current model of funding ECD programs as NPOs must be reviewed. ECD programs must ensure that the children are ready to enter formal schooling. Therefore, it is important to have a new, holistic, and inclusive model, which includes all committees of trust in the ECD space, state departments whose line functions and direct constitutional obligations link them to children.
Besides ECD and the three streams model, the minister also highlighted that school infrastructure remains a priority for the department.
So in 2018, we initially counted 3,898 schools that needed assistance. When we went to verify, we confirmed 3,398. Already 2,722 schools have been provided with sanitation appropriate, and 673 are remaining, and can confirm that in this financial year, it will be completed. Following critical evaluation of the infrastructure challenges and lessons learned from previous delivery strategies, the department has crafted an infrastructure 10-point plan to accelerate the rollout of schools infrastructure. And this strategy was recently workshopped and adopted by the Council of Education MECs. Again, I won't go through all the details, but I can say that CEM recommended that the department with its provincial counterparts must establish dedicated work streams, which among other tasks should focus on the preparation for school infrastructure, procurement documents, ensure alignment of designs and specifications of schools infrastructure, develop school norms and standards, advise on recruitment of skills, and ensure that the maintenance of schools, which is another major problem, is a norm, and develop compliant approaches on the enforcing consequence management. Chair, I've noted that with this plan, the sector will go a long way in addressing the serious challenges the sector faces in school infrastructure.
A recent study has shown that 81% of grade 4 learners in public schools cannot read with meaning or comprehension. The Progress in International Reading Literacy Study 2021 was released by Minister Angie Motshekga, Deputy Minister Dr. Regina Mhaule, and the Director General Matanzima Mweli during a seminar in Pretoria. Motshekga said South Africa's participation in Pearl's 2006 outcomes has shown that a significant number of learners were promoted to grade 5 without acquiring reading skills. During her opening remarks at the seminar, the minister emphasized that it is the department's priority to ensure that learners can read for meaning. She also spoke about the importance of reading.
Reading for meaning or reading comprehension is a skill of understanding and interpreting the text. It plays a fundamental role in academic and personal access, with research highlighting the particular importance of developing strong reading comprehension skills by the age of 10 for different reasons, indeed for academic success, lifelong learning, career opportunities, and critical thinking. So in summary, reading for meaning is a vital skill that should be nurtured quite early. That by the age of 10, children should be able to comprehend various types of text, both fiction and non-fiction, while utilizing critical thinking skills to interpret the information presented.
She added that reading is a complex exercise which also requires the involvement of parents.
We accept that reading is a complex process that requires the development of decoding skills, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension, as well as utilization of learning strategies to derive meaning from text. However, in our South African schools, reading instructions often solely focuses on oral performance, which is what people always ask me to say, Minister, you mean our kids stay with you for 4 years? They can't just read and combine sentences and say Peter has gone to town. Is that so difficult that you can't teach in 3 years? And I think it's because we've been focusing, and I think our understanding as people is that reading really is around oral performance, neglecting reading comprehension, and making sense of the written word. And that's what also has been our mission to try, because we want parents to be involved. They also have to understand that it's not about oral performance, that they can punctuate, they know their comma, they know exclamations, they can pronounce properly, but it goes much more deeper. And they need to understand what is that deeper, what is this depth that we're talking about. And that's a big exercise that even our teachers also have to be sensitized about what it is that we say we have a challenge with. And this approach hinders learners' ability to answer passages in assessment like pills. While pronunciation, accuracy, and fluency are important, they hold no value without comprehension.
Motshekga went on to reassure the attendees and the country that the department is finalizing a revised national reading plan to address the gaps present.
Our plan will ensure further provision of minimum learning teaching support material package, especially designed to support reading. The material will be cultural and age appropriate, including resources like alphabet freezes, posters, flashcards, big books, and most importantly, decoded, graded reading books developed in various African languages to facilitate children's reading acquisition. And the plan we've agreed will expand the implementation of more direct and targeted teacher training and support, emphasizing the effective use of provided materials. And the primary focus will be on home language literacy, as children need to learn to read in a language they understand. However, the plan will also support English as a first additional language and prepare learners for challenging transition to English as a language of learning, which typically occurs in schools. And the speechwriters also left out our agreement on promoting African languages also as languages of learning, and making sure that they are also given all the support, building on the research work that was done in the Eastern Cape, to make sure that indeed the majority of our children have the opportunity to learn in the language of their choice.
Meanwhile, Director General Matanzima Mweli explained what the way forward is now.
4 things that we have decided to focus on. We always had 10 pillars of our reading strategy. The review says 10 is too much. We are all over the place. We are in the middle of the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. We need to find direction. So we are reducing the number of controls on the radar. From 10, we reduce them to 4. And here are they. Reading policy. Number 2, skilled and agile teachers. Number 3, culturally relevant LTSM. And number 4, involve parents and communities to tighten the scope. It reminded me of what my grandparents used to remind me about, that it takes the whole village to raise a child. It was true then, as it is true now, and going into the future.
When we return, we get more information on the teachers' conversation held by the Department of Basic Education together with the University of Johannesburg.
Hey learners in grade R11, feeling stuck or confused? Have you lost learning time in the last while? Well, Tswelopele is back to help you catch up. Find resources on the DBE cloud to use and share. Watch support lessons on TV or on our YouTube channel, where you will find exciting lessons in key grade R to 9 subjects. And for grade 10 to 11, have fun learning in many different subjects. Join our community of learners and teachers, parents and caregivers on Facebook, where there are tips and advice for better learning. Need help? Contact us via our WhatsApp line and get support on all your subject problems. Stay connected. You can count on us. Check out our website to find out more at www.tswelopele.org.za. Tswelopele.
Basic Education Deputy Minister Dr. Rejana Mhaule has encouraged principals in Nkomazi, Mpumalanga to work as a team to improve the district's matric results. She engaged with the principals as part of her monitoring and oversight visits which are aimed at assisting underperforming schools. This as the department continues to provide necessary support to schools in a quest to help them improve learner performance. She continued to praise the area's various results and emphasize the importance of principals and teachers leading by example. She also added that they need to work together as a team to help improve learners' performance. The Department of Basic Education, together with the University of Johannesburg, hosted a virtual teachers' conversation under the theme, "What does it take to be a good teacher?" Teachers got together virtually to share ideas, views, and opinions on this important topic, with many saying that love and empathy conquer all, while others said that good results from learners motivate teachers to give learners their best. The discussion included topics such as how do teachers make sure that learning takes place. Other suggestions that came up included teaching ideas such as dramatizing lessons and making it interesting for learners to stay focused were shared during the conversation. They emphasized that having a positive attitude and confidence makes it easier for learners to learn and to focus. Limpopo award-winning principal in the National Teachers Awards said for him, teaching is not a job, but a lifestyle.
It's also a question of passion. As a teacher, you must love your profession. To me, it's not a job, it's a way of life. I wouldn't ask for anything than being a teacher. So the other thing is you should have a purpose. Somebody said the greatest tragedy on earth is not death, but life without a purpose. Even when you get into class, you must have the outcome already in your head. Where do you want to drive your children to? What do you want them to achieve? So it's a question of purpose. And to me, it's very important. And you need to believe that every child can succeed. Although at their own pace, in their own way, you have to be able to reach out to every child. So there should be some kind of individual attention. So to me, it's critical that you should believe in your children. You should believe that they can do well. And when I interview a teacher who's looking for a maths post, my question would always be the first question, and normally is the only question that I normally ask. Do you believe that all children can do maths? If the maths teacher, if a teacher who's coming to teach maths says no, he doesn't believe that all children can do maths, then to me it's already failed, because he teaches a subject that he has specialized in, but he doesn't believe that all children can do that. So to me, it's very important that all teachers should believe that the children have the potential. The only thing that you need is that you should be patient with them. They are unique. They are not the same, but they can all do well at their own pace. And the way they study is also different. So you need to be very patient as a teacher.
Meanwhile, Amy Davids, a teacher, said that some of the obstacles she has come across in the profession is comparing her teaching styles and lessons to others.
One of the things that I've always looked at when I started teaching was comparing myself to other teachers. I would compare myself to do my kids enjoy the lesson as much as they would have enjoyed another or fellow teacher's lesson? Am I teaching according to the way that other teachers teach? You often look at different lesson plans, and now with social media and with COVID going online and all of those kind of things, of course, you're getting resources from other teachers. And so you look at that and you think to yourself, am I being as good a teacher as another fellow teacher? And one of the things that I've only very recently, within, I would say the last year, actually, kind of changed my thinking is, instead of comparing myself to others, I have to ask, what makes myself a good teacher for me? Who would I have liked as myself if I had to walk into my own classroom, would I have enjoyed my subject? Would I have enjoyed the lesson, the content?
Stay tuned. After the break, we are in the Eastern Cape, where the MEC updates on the damages caused by the floods.
Hey Matrix, don't give up. Watch Wars of Matrix every day on TV to help you revise and study with confidence. Check the schedule and plan your studying for the week. Read up on the topic before you watch. Come prepared. It's hard to focus if you watch like this, or this, or this. Switch off your phone and switch on your brain. Sit up, be alert, take notes, and really listen. When we watch actively, that's when we learn. You can do it.
Eastern Cape Education MEC Fundile Gade has been alerted by the Department of Corporate Services that some parts of the province have been affected by flooding. Gade said that the department is already on top of the crisis and have sent a team to assess if there are any schools affected for them to begin developing assisting programs for learners who are affected.
We have received through the Department of Corporate Services and Traditional Affairs that the province once more again has suffered a bit of disasters across the province. And one amongst those areas is Nelson Mandela Bay, which has actually led into a disastrous environment. We have sent teams to look very closely of the report that we received this morning from the Executive Council meeting that was scheduled for 7 o'clock in the morning, just to assess whether there are any schools affected and to what extent are those schools affected, whether are there any relief programs that will be required out of us as a ministry so as to assist the households affected, so that our learners that might be affected indirectly and indirectly do not find themselves vulnerable during this period.
He added that this is the first time that the province has experienced this kind of weather and hopes that going forward they will be on the lookout for such unforeseeable situations.
It is a fact that we never experienced high rainfall during winter season. So we just needed to find an alternative way of how do we plan, how do we make sure that the climate change is with us now and therefore do things differently as government, so that even the allocation in terms of budget speaks to these unintended consequences as a result of the climate change that we're confronted with.
The Department of Basic Education is crisscrossing the country to ensure teachers and subject advisors are well informed and trained about the 3 streams model. This week, the training took place at schools of skills offering technical and occupational subjects in Mpumalanga. In a bid to ensure learners are well equipped for the changing world, the department has started implementing the 3 streams model into the curriculum. Historically, the South African education system focused mainly on the academic pathway. In some instances, that has unfortunately led to dropouts and a high failure rate. With this model, the department believes it would provide differentiated offerings to learners and respond to the skills needed for the ever-changing world. That's how we end this bulletin this week on the Department of Basic Education's YouTube channel and on OpenView, channel 122. Remember to send through your stories for comments by contacting us on our Twitter handle at DBE TV News. We leave you with an episode of In the Spotlight. Enjoy and thank you for watching.
Hello, my name is Terence Kala, the Media Relations Officer at the Department of Basic Education, and welcome to the first in a series of installments that we'll be having right here on DBE TV called In the Spotlight. And in the first episode, we're going to put in the spotlight the Basic Education Department's 3-stream model. Now, you might be asking yourself what the 3-stream model is about, and we're actually here at the Department of Basic Education today, where we'll be speaking to Dr. Moses Simelani, who is a curriculum specialist, who will be telling us a little bit more, firstly, about what the 3-stream model is and what it aims to achieve, and how it's really changing the face of the basic education sector. So without any further ado, let's go meet Dr. Moses Simelane.
It's actually my absolute pleasure to be joining everybody in this practical training center. The three-stream model, in brief, it's the introduction of 3 different learning pathways. The academic pathway, in as much as we've always been having the academic pathway as a department, but with the introduction of the three-stream model, even the academic learning pathway is going to be strengthened so that it provides more options, even for learners who may want to stay in the academic pathway. And then we also are introducing the vocational learning pathway, which essentially we actually introduced in 2016. The vocational learning pathway prepares our learners, or its intention is to prepare our learners for different vocations, whether you talk engineering, whether you talk accountants, you know, those kinds of careers in the future. And then thirdly, and finally, we are also introducing the occupational learning pathway, which is more of a learning pathway that prepares our learners in the main for the world of work. Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of challenges that we actually picked up as a department. One of the challenges that we picked up was that we were seeing a high dropout rate of our learners, simply because our curriculum offering was mainly academic. Over 90% of our schools, before we introduced the three-stream model, were offering the academic learning pathway, which is not aligned to the majority of learners' interest, aptitude, and ability. Because a majority of learners are actually hands-on. They want to learn with their hands. So therefore, these 2 additional learning pathways, the vocational and the occupational one, are therefore going to give them that option to choose away from the academic learning pathway, which is largely theoretical and less practical. But with the vocational and the occupational learning pathway, a lot of practical work, hands-on learning experience is being introduced. For instance, we can talk even up to 75% practicals in most of the subjects.
Thank you very much for joining us for this. That was the first installment of In the Spotlight right here on DBE TV. Now, it was such a pleasure today to be informed by Dr. Moses Simelane. It really does bode well for the changes in the basic education sector, looking at the improvements and the advancements that education has made. And really, the three-stream model does give one confidence for the learner, for the employer, and the employee of the future. So do be sure to join us next week right here on In the Spotlight. We will be taking on or tackling another topic in the basic education sector. Do feel free to join us next week. Thank you very much.